he kept on singing. Mr. Ping Shang was the main patrolman. Ah Chong and Lee, they were back up for he. Pong sing, pong pang, wong sing, wong wong, pong sang chong. That's how they sung. Jingling wang, jingling pong pang, pong sing wing, pong pang ching. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just a kai fan.
Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah.
The girls in the band sounding real sweet. I had no choice but to move my feet. Sully on top top, Kim Loy on bass, mailing dancing and rolling she waist. Mr. Ping Shang kept on in me quattro, but what they saying I really don't know. Wang sing wong wang, boom sing boom pong, bong sing boom chong. That's how they song. Jingling wing, jingling wang, sung sing boom pong, wang boom ping ping. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just a kai fan.
Kau di dokan lai, kau di dokan lai. Alright. Oh.
I told them take a break and it piece a cake, but they told me no, let's get on with the show. When they finished sing, they came in my kitchen and at my table they were staring. I offered them ham, turkey and fowl, but all they wanted was just to cat and fowl. Pong sing, pong pong, chong sing, wong wong, pong song pong. That's how they song. Jingling wang, jingling ping, pong sing, pong pang, wong wang wing. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give it just a kai fan. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just a kai fan. Street, I look outside to see who was playing. It was some Chinese playing music for me. One sing, boom, bong, chang, sing, woo, wong, boom, wang, chong. That's how they sung. Jingling, ping, jingling, bang, boom, sing, boom, wing, wang, boom, wing. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang, wang, wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just a kai fan.
One time, two time, two time. Oh.
I open my door and invite them in. The leader of the band start introducing. One name Ling Long, he write the song. One name Ling Sing, he kept on singing. Mr. Ping Shang was the main patrolman. Ah Chong and Lee, they were back up for he. Pong sing, pong pang, wong sing, wong wong, pong sang chong. That's how they sung. Jingling wang, jingling pong pang, pong sing wing, pong pang ching. That's how they sing. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang, wang wang wang. Chinese parang, Chinese parang, Chinese parang. Give me just a kai fan.
Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah.
The girls in the band sounding real sweet. I I had no choice but to move my feet slowly on tuk-tuk.
Get invitation for the Christmas in a Riemann, somewhere up in Mount Pleasant. I was among a big family, eating and drinking what I wanted, dancing, singing, having a good time. Every time a parent played, but Uncle Sam to see me, I in a young lady, pull me by the back door and he said, you feel bright, that you're walking here tonight.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all on Sanctuary, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. This is the Saturday edition of the Corridor Transformation. I thought I should do it a little different tonight, because I want to show what the possibilities are. When, of course, we make the right decision to transform Trinidad and Tobago away from and against, of course, what is purporting to be government and governance in this country. I'm talking here about the pernicious, evil, wicked, diabolical, sinful, and, of course, a barbaric Rowley administration called the PNM, a criminal enterprise. And while, of course, we await, of course, the elections and therefore the voting into power of Kamala Prasad Bisasa, the UNC. After all, yellow is the code. I want to give you tonight a glimpse of what will be positively implemented and implementable, creative, and of course crafty in the interests of Trinidad and Tobago, and addressing, of course, the main issues of Trinidad and Tobago today, exacerbated by, of course, this government's incompetence. Are talking about the Rowley administration when they have, of course, escalated and exacerbated the situation of crime. They have, of course, deteriorated our economic prospects and circumstance. And on every single occasion when they promise futuristically that, listen, this is going to happen positively, and the latest is that the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority will work better than the existing iteration of that revenue collecting entity. I'm talking about, of course, the Inland Revenue Department, that will be replaced, according to Imsburg and Rowley, by the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. And incidentally, it is as a result of the IMF report. I want to also tell you that is the same Inland Revenue Department, when, of course, they collected more than was expected by Imbert, when there was this amnesty, 1 or 2 or 3, I believe it was. He said that they worked creditably, they worked beyond expectation. Yet still today, he is saying that the new configuration, the new invention, the new Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority would be more efficient than that of the Inland Revenue Department. Well, I say to you, when Rowley and them tell you to jump, you stand up. When they tell you to close your damn eyes, you open it. And when they tell you that something will be good, bet your bottom dollar it will be bad. Yes, indeed.
You feel bright, that you're walking here tonight. Rock on, take it light, that you're walking.
Yes, people, of course, we can make it if we try. And that is what the motto has to be moving into, of course, the next, what I consider to be cycle, not of just politics, but of government and governance in 2025. And these are some of the benefits with the replacement, with the jettisoning, with the kicking out, with the annihilation of the PNM and Rowley and his, of course, miscreants, criminals, and corrupted, crazy, incompetent, impotent, and of course, conspirators for evil and for depriving the poor and the vulnerable and the susceptible in the society. That is what we will be looking at tonight.
One little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try. Just a little harder.
Yes, people, we have a duty and responsibility to make it and not just try harder, but in simple understanding that when, of course, evil, incompetence, impotence, retrogression, and it is said, and for good reason, that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And of course, necessity being the mother of all invention and therefore creativity. It is also said that luck comes when opportunity meets what? Meets preparation. Let me repeat. Luck is when opportunity meets the preparation. But is that really luck? Because you would have been prepared, but the opportunity clearly may not be in your hands, but when it does, you are prepared. So maybe you will have to determine whether that is luck or that is a part and parcel of the evolution of an individual's experience of putting himself and herself in the path of course, development, having regard to the area that they would have chosen for their operation or their function or their contribution to the society. See, if a person likes medical matters, for example, I expect them to be linemen with doctors and, of course, looking around and, of course, being associated with medical matters and, therefore, health centers, hospitals, etc. If you want to be a pilot, then, of course, you will hang around the airports and where people, of course, are associated with planes and helicopter and, of course, those kinds of aerodynamic, should I say, equipment or machines. If you want to be a carpenter, then I would expect that you will be familiar, rising yourself with the various tools, maybe, of course, go into places that sell these items because you are interested in that, the type of wood, measurement, etc. If you are one that wants to be a scavenger, for example, then, of course, you will be gaining or seeking the advice of those persons who are in the industry already, whether it be providers of the vehicles or whether it be persons who are actually engaged in the collection or the scraping up or the accumulating of the garbage, and therefore they will direct you, for example, to one of the regional corporations, whether it's Port of Spain or whether, of course, it is Chaguanas, or whether it be Sangre Grande, whether it be Dibe, etc. Because that is how it is. So therefore, to say that, of course, that luck is the coming together, the confluencing of opportunity meeting preparation may be a bit stretching, but in human circumstance, one expects that what you like, one should desire, once you have an aptitude or an attitude or a request or a preference, you will certainly, of course, find the association and the circumstances to manifest that which you like. So if you want to be a lawyer, one expects that you would love, of course, programs, whether it's television or cinema, where, of course, matters of a legal nature is expressed. And, of course, you will go to the law library and you will, of course, your friends, you will seek friends that have been, of course, or are, in fact, lawyers or are law students. That is how it works. That is a real human situation. Well, I want to tell you, Rowley and them will never tell, particularly African grouping, who they believe that they must crush and they must dominate and that they must not enlighten them, because once they are enlightened, you will be liberated, and then you will know what Rowley and they give, even though they and their children, well, they them first will, of course, be the beneficiary of a good education in terms of institutions and gravitating there too. And of course, their children, they would want them to be the best and to be like them. But of course, because they have an elitist agenda, or put another way, they have a dominance over, of course, who they consider to be inferior to them. They then, of course, never put things in place or never give you an advice that will, of course, elevate you and to reach like them, because that is not the case with them. That is not their intention. They do not want a certain section of the society to open their eyes and wipe the yampy out of their eyes, and then, of course, recognize that the toxicity of Rowley and their exploitative behavior and their use of racial slurs and racial innuendos and racial connotations in order, of course, to stay in office, to do us harm, even though they will not have, of course, the mass approval of the population. Mass here meaning the popular votes. But of course, they will utilize and manipulate, of course, institutions such as the EBC, so as to gerrymander the boundaries of various constituencies, including, of course, and especially those along the east-west corridor, where about a third of the constituencies of the 41 that make up the 41 resides. And of course, they believe that they could dominate Tobago. Well, Tobago has jettisoned them. They have annihilated them. They have, of course, to say, get the hell out and get the hence of Satans. Let us not waste time. So tonight, having spoken, of course, to someone that I really revere and respect, I thought I should, of course, give you some of the potential so as to open up your eyes and still to make the comparison between what is purported to be governance, policies and programs that clearly have not only disappointed, but have, of course, generated a skepticism, a doubt in the society, whether or not Rowley and they can continue, or whether or not, more specifically, they were prepared at all for advancing Trinidad and Tobago. What we know, that they have plenty talk. Plenty talk, and as the old people would say, using, of course, the old English matriculation system, they say an ounce of action is better than a pound of talk. You know what I say? I say, the old people say an ounce of action is better than a pound of talk. And of course, Rowley and they have more than a pound of talk. They are pounds of talk. Pounds of talk. Yes, indeed. But at the end of the day, it turns out to be total failure. And mind you, it is not by accident I spoke of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority tonight, and how they praise, when it is convenient, the Inland Revenue Department, when they had instituted, of course, those amnesties, about 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and say that they did well. They didn't expect it to rake in more than the millions that they eventually got. But that was then. And then, of course, they come and institute a program which is called the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority, which in effect means that the the jobs of all of those very persons who Imbert said, who was very good, performed well, beyond expectations. Their jobs are now in jeopardy, whether you are a customs officer, whether you're working in the Ministry of Finance and in the specific department of the Inland Revenue, all of them, including of course those in the VAT office, all of them, their jobs are in jeopardy now. They told them in uncertain terms, either apply for a transfer, and in practice, they really will of course act to get rid of them. But as a panacea, as an attempt to placate, because that is what we have seen. Their intention, of course, is to put their own people there and move out all of those very experienced people in that area and set up a new entity to collect revenue in this country. And of course, the courts gave them the authority so to do. But the courts, of course, naively, they don't know what we know. They're saying that they expect that the government will act objectively and will not be biased and will not put their own people connected to the PNM and give them a job. And their job, of course, is to be unreasonable and to lay it out hard and tough. And of course, where it is achievable, or where the circumstance give them the opportunity, they will garnish your property because you didn't pay tax and take your blasted place. I say so because I have no confidence in them, and you too. And you should be praying for the day when the opportunity will present itself, and it must come next year, to put your fingers or to put your vote where it is necessary and required in favor of the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Otherwise, these people will continue, of course, to believe that somehow we love pain, ache, agony, and punishment. And let me just give you, before, of course, I enter the area that I am trying to focus on tonight, and that is to say, what is possible with a Kamala Prasad Bisesa government. Let us not waste time. And those of us who are conscious, those of us who are aware, will know what is possible, not only because of the tremendous performance of the Kamala Prasad Bisesa UNC administration between 2010 and 2015, but because you have experienced it and know what is required. Let me just go to the line. President, good night. Welcome. Hello?
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Smith.
Oh, good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Huh?
Good night.
Good night.
Okay. I just calling to say good night. I just wanna say happy belated Universal Children's Day.
All right, great. Yes.
To everybody.
All right.
To every child in the world. And I would just like to say thank you for all the great work that you have been doing.
Lovely. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, okay. Thank you, of course, for taking the time to, of course, communicate with us. And to, of course, and I too, it slipped me, of course, a happy belated Universal Children's Day. Clearly is a child that felt that through this program that they should, of course, wish their, not, well, of course, they may be siblings so that are children as well, but certainly their peers, and of course, all of Trinidad and Tobago clearly. I want to say to you as well, young man, because a male voice, of course, all the best to you as well. I have my own suspicion as to who that is, but I'm not going to share that with you out there now. But the fact of the matter is that that is a wonderful example, and those are the children we are talking about. If we only make the mistake and do not do the right thing when we get the opportunity, because Rowley and they will come with all kinds of obfuscation, all kinds of deflection. We have, of course, examined that right through, and we will go through with that and will, of course, in essence, start again tomorrow night. But, of course, they will tell you what they have done. They will say they met with Moody. They will say, of course, they met with Biden. They will say, of course, that, hold on, we are coming, because, of course, they are signing all kinds of memorandum for the future. No, no, no. Do not. You see, human beings are creatures of what? Are creatures of actions. They are creatures of consistent, or should I say, repetitive conduct. Yeah. They are creatures of habits, in other words. That is what a human being is. And that is why we have something called culture, where people grow up in a particular society and they know by being cultured the sense of right and wrong, what is permissible, what is not permissible. And that is made manifested, or the child or the citizen is made to understand what his role and function is in terms of etiquette, in terms of behavior, in terms of how he relates to his fellow man and woman. And the institutions of social control begins, of course, that indoctrination, that education begins in the family one. It then is extended, of course, to the schools. So they go to school and they learn what is required in the society. And then, of course, you have the churches as well. So they understand some of the religious and what I consider to be spiritual dictates, or the spiritual factors, or the facets that will make them the contributing citizen that one expects them to be in the society. And then, just in case they go off track, you have the courts, you have, of course, the prison, yes, in order to bring them back on and to punish them if, of course, they go awry, so that they come back and conform. So those are the institutions of social control. And that is why the same standard or the same cultural issues, and that has to do with what you wear, how you wear it, what you eat, and how you prepare it to eat. Yes, that is part of your culture. And of course, it also has to do with entertainment. That is part of the culture as well. So we know steel band and calypso. We know crab and callaloo. We know, of course, a good pilau. We know about doubles. We know about shark and bake. In other countries, of course, like take for instance in those exotic countries such as China and Japan, and what they will eat as part of their culture and see it nice, and of course as a delicacy, whether it be snake, whether it be dog, whether it be other types of vermins that, and even of course insects that they will eat as a delicacy. We will vomit, we will fall sick, even though of course the actual item will not make you sick, but just your mindset. How they could eat dog, how they could eat bugs, how they could eat different types of lizards and frog, etc., etc. That is part of the cultural, or the culturalization. And What makes that possible is because if you are born into that society, if you are born into that community, and everybody is eating those items, and everybody is performing in a particular way in terms of entertainment, and everybody is dressing in a particular way, and everybody, of course, is learning in a particular way, and everybody is building their homes in a particular way, all that is part of the culture. So culture is very, very broad, but it influences, of course, in the particular society, the way how the human beings interact with each other. That is why it is called, well, it is derived from the science called sociology. The coming together and interacting of groups, as opposed, of course, to a subject such as maybe psychology or psychiatrists, where, of course, they deal with a one-on-one and look at the mind and how that person functions in relation, of course, to maybe himself and, of course, the society. And if he goes, of course, because of some mental issue, they are the ones, of course, to try to correct that in order for them to conform. But I am being as broad as possible because I want to tell you that in the context of Trinidad and Tobago, we have a duty and responsibility to understand that if we are accustomed, of course, with managing our affairs, if we are accustomed working for what we want, if we are accustomed, of course, having a government, and even, or of course, if it is one that is intended or preferred, but we always, as a people, hope that we will get a government that is sensitive to our circumstances, the poor, etc. But when you have a government that don't care, that betray, that lies, the way Rowley and Imbert and, of course, the PNM has lied to us, then we have a duty and responsibility to correct that barbaric, that betrayal, that perfidious, meaning that a betrayal of the Rowley administration and the PNM. They have morphed themselves into a criminal enterprise, and we have a duty to generate the sanctions. We have a duty to generate the punishment, in other words, to make them understand that Trinidad and Tobago is not what they have attempted to change the society to. That is to say, corruption, nepotism, cronyism, maladministration, abuse of office, and engage in criminal behavior in high public office and believe that they could get away. I say to them, blue lights and silver bracelets must be the order of the day. Having said that, and as I said, I had a discussion today that I thought I should share with you. You see, there are people in the society who recognize, for example, that we are going awry, that we are going astray, that we have a responsibility besides and independent of the government, particularly when the government is so insensitive, so recalcitrant, so bent on endangering the society, to let them know that we have people in the society who are prepared to not only remedy the situation, ameliorate the situation, but to also simultaneously get rid of the tails by either the action, and action here includes, of course, by way of our votes. But there is more. There is the law enforcement where they have done egregious acts, where it is so reprehensible that there is a need to punish in such a way so that nobody else believe they could do in the future like what Rowley and his bunch of miscreants have done to us. That is what we are talking about. And therefore, in such circumstance, I want to tell you that back in 1984, under, of course, a PNM government that went out of office in 1986. But we saw the problem in the society called Laventille and environs. And as a teacher, still in the system, I came together, or we put together other like-minded persons that say we must put a stop to this. Otherwise, we ourselves will be in jeopardy. And that time, of course, the whole question of the use of guns as the preferred means of killing, the evolution, or the, should I say, gang warfare was in its nascent stage, meaning in its embryonic stage, meaning in its beginning stage. And the people, of course, we pondered, we mulled, and we agonized over the fact that young people are saying that they came out of school, they came out, of course, of training programs, and they have nowhere to go in terms of job opportunities and to express their skills. And while that piece of Trinidad and Tobago, Parsley Street and environs in Laventille may be a small community, certainly it is said that big things come from small, minuscule events and a circumstance. I like to make the reference to, of course, big things come from a brain. And a brain, of course, I think the brain weighs about 50 ounces, thereabout. And in, of course, a box called the cranium. But right there, aeroplanes were invented, rockets were invented, large buildings were invented from right inside of here. And so we decided that we have to do what we call social re-engineering. A big term to simply mean we have to not do the same thing over and over. Or put another way, we have to do things differently in order to, of course, arrest the problem of youth delinquency and, of course, the poor image of young people of themselves, and give them the motivation and the, of course, examples that will fit them for life, and once again make them first class rather than second class and third class citizens. We recognize that during the common entrance period, our common entrance today, we have, of course, what is called C, but I'm talking about 1984. And there, of course, out of the 9,000 that would not be found, that would not find themselves in secondary school, because at that time we didn't have everybody going to secondary school at the time. And in the Laventille area alone, we have 900 out of the 9,000 that would, of course, not pass the, or put another way, will not go on to secondary school, and therefore did not pass the common entrance and would be on our hands. And of course, that 900 would have met the 900 the year before, and the 900 the year before, and the 900 the year before, going backwards. It means, therefore, when we look at the young people who started, of course, to hold guns, who started to rob, who started to claim that, listen, the adults are not doing anything for them, and they have to survive, they have to eat, and they have, of course, to do all the things that young people desire. And indeed, of course, when the society says that if you have the skills and you have the attitude and the temperament, you can, of course, make it if you try. That is why, of course, we have, of course, associated the Laventille development efforts, self-development efforts, to that of Black Stallions. We can make it if we try. I say to you, young people, whether you are in Laventille, you are in Betham, you are in Silet, you are in East Port of Spain, you are in Diego Martin, you are in Chaguanas, you are in Londonville, you are in Sangre Grande, you are in Labre, you are in Point Fortin, Faizabad, etc. You are in Caroni. You have a duty and responsibility to not only recognize where your circumstances are, but I say to the adults and those who are shakers and movers, who are the leaders at this point in time, that you have a duty and responsibility as well to these young people to make certain that you find creative ways of they becoming, of course, model citizens. How that is done? Well, I will share with you tonight what we saw. And even though the PNM was averse, and even though they tried to shut down our efforts, and even though they did not make any facilitatory accommodation, which is their responsibility, and I want to say this because they were facilitating Servaldo, they were facilitating living waters, they were facilitating fields, but they will not facilitate, of course, what we eventually created or called the Mova Laventil Improvement Organization Trade School. They weren't facilitating that, no. They want to know what is Lennox Smith's political position. And because I have always been and continue so to do, as expressed by this very program, they know that I am not bribable. And therefore they cannot give me $2 million, $3 million, or a blasted $50 and expect that I am going to, of course, succumb to, of course, the indignity of course, forsaking our young people and not putting them on the right track where I have the capacity, the ability, and the wherewithal in order so to do. And so, of course, right here on George Street, where I am right now, there is, of course, the development of the Empowerment Center. And, of course, you see how powerful it is, because tonight I am talking from right here on George Street to the whole blasted world. I'm speaking to the country, I'm speaking, of course, to the region, I'm speaking to the hemisphere, and I'm speaking, of course, to the rest of the world. And you in the diaspora, must understand too that if you want a better Trinidad and Tobago, particularly if you have family living here, and more so if you want to return home, then of course you have to make certain that we prepare and we provide, of course, the accommodation and the salubrious conditions in order for you to return to, of course, a God-fearing society where, of course, crime and criminality will not be the order of the day, and where, of course, we reject and we, of course, dissipate and we eliminate the so-called Russian roulette society in which we live, where anybody, anytime, any day, any hour could, of course, be the victim of crime and criminality. And worse yet, any of our children can, of course, gravitate to a life of crime because they may have been, of course, either hoodwinked, cajoled, or forced into a life of crime. We have a duty and responsibility to understand that there is a high degree of disparity between, of course, certain sections of the society and other sections, and those sections that are living in a voluptuous circumstance. Understand that if you do not pay attention and put your resources where little it is, in order, of course, to solve the problems of those areas that are engaged in what the police call a crime-ridden environment, whether it be Laventil, whether it be Beaton, whether it be Sealets, whether it be Mount Hope, etc., whether it be, of course, parts of central Trinidad, then, of course, you will be doing yourself a disservice, because the bullet, or put another way, the child that you save may well be that person who have decided not to hold a gun, not to rob, not to home invade. Understand that. So all of us are in this together. And therefore, we exist in this very, very volatile situation where the government has lost its way, where they have, of course, converted themselves into a belligerent group of individuals and institutions, where they have, of course, engage in a level of toxicity that, of course, is inimical to the interests of Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore one of the ultimate, not one of, but the ultimate solution to the problem of Trinidad and Tobago, in spite of the pockets of positivity, such as what I am mentioning tonight, is to get rid of the PNM, and of course, the rest will naturally follow, because we know of Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC and their track record between 2010 and 2015, and therefore it is, of course, common knowledge that they will, of course, reconnect and, of course, continue that process. As we have seen already, property tax will no longer be, it will be, of course, revamped. Not revamped. Revamped is to improve. So it will be, of course, eliminated. Yes. Or you could use revamp in the context that it will be improved to the reinstating of land and building taxes, as Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC had proposed in 2015 when Rowley had agreed. And then, of course, he said that PNM will not pursue property tax. But today, but today, he brutally and, of course, under heavy pretense that he has amnesia, that he forget that he told us that not one of his constituents could pay an additional $100 back in 2009 when Manning was promoting property tax. He Rowley said that. He has no excuse today, whether it is on the basis of the amount, because if Rowley said that in 2009, and don't get me vexed before I play, when of course he said that in 2008 the country made the most money that it's ever made, and that is still the record, and that was under Rowley, and of course his predecessor are talking about, of course, Manning. He wasn't the prime minister then, but certainly he was attempting, of course, to undermine Manning in order to be where he is today. So let us not waste time. But what he said is that his constituents couldn't afford $100 at a time when we made the most money that we ever made. What does that mean today? It means, people, that to tell us now that you're paying $150 or the minimum you have to pay if your property has valued less than $14,000, I think it's $14,000, $18,000 or $14,000, to tell us that you must pay $500. It shows how despicable, how dishonest, and how evil this man is. Because he cannot escape, even on the basis that it is small money in the present circumstance. Let's go to the line. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, good night.
Good night to you, my friend.
You hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend.
Right. No, you get me, sir?
Not at all.
Under the president of the government,
Yeah.
all I say was, this country could have never reached the stage it reached, with crime and all this thing going on.
Yes.
And all these Venezuelans in the place. That government would have never allowed that to happen. You agree?
Yes, I agree.
Right. But sure, we have no government here now at all. Under Banzo Pandey, he could not reach to this stage either. He got up against Abu Bakr Mukarapo, remember?
Yes.
You had toe-to-toe with him. Them fellas, they know how to deal with problems. This bunch what we have here now, they may know nothing at all. They create a big headache for Kamala when you come back here, you know.
Oh yes, no doubt. And that is why this program tonight is dedicated to making people see what is possible with, of course, all the, should I say, conscientious and, of course, citizen, patriotic, oriented individuals with some kind of ability to offer that we all have a responsibility collectively to assist Kamala Prasad Bisesa in bringing back Trinidad and Tobago where it's supposed to be. Go ahead.
Yeah, to start with, I could have they used to deal with them Venezuelans, yeah? You don't really like them very much.
All right, yes.
So he will allow all of this to take place, all the borders exposed, and they could just walk in here and all of that. As I tell you the other night, I asked me whether I Hindu or I don't know. We have a rat pooch government.
A what? A what government?
A rat pooch.
A rat pooch. Okay, okay. A new word I learned. I like to inculcate new words. Go ahead. A rat pooch.
In my time, Indigo Lennox.
Yes, go ahead.
Indigo Martin. And you don't know about that because he's still too young.
Right.
You know, that's the government like a frozen fat in a candy bottle.
A fat in a candy bottle. I hear you. I could imagine the sense.
Yeah, frozen fat, eh?
A frozen one. Oh my goodness, boy. You're real graphic, but go ahead. I hear you.
Because they can't do nothing.
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, you see all them frozen down the way, Lennox?
Yes, 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 boy, oh boy.
No, the first flood ever I know about Indigo Martin was in 1961.
Right.
Right? And they widened that river after that.
Right.
So I don't know what could happen to cause all that today.
Right.
I don't know what could cause that, but
well, let me give you one. Just before I finish, let me give you one reason. Rowley and them still in government. Even nature got against them.
Well, I'll come into that now.
Oh, go ahead, my friend. Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you didn't contemplate on that. Go ahead.
All right, but I'll come into this now. I'll come into a movie.
Yeah.
A suspense thriller by Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay.
You know what the movie was? North by Northwest.
Okay, North by Northwest. All right.
Right? And that's when the flood and I went today.
Right.
In the north and now in the west.
Yes, yes, yes.
Central and South India, nothing. Thank God.
Yeah.
You know, Alvary said tonight they have everything under control.
Is what?
Alvary said tonight that they have everything under control.
Obviously, it's a set of mad people who the gods wish to destroy. They first send them mad. These fellas have gone berserk.
That they started the cleanup operation already.
Yes, yes, yeah. All of that. They're nice hyperbolic, should I say, platitudinous talk.
Yeah, but you know, if that was wrong in South and Central, then I said that eventually water go down and all the crap.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. But I want to tell you this, that the multiple layers of propaganda and the deflection they are engaged now, because that's what they are engaged in now as a strategy to try to win an election that they could never win, but they will, but they will try. One of the things that they are doing is exactly that. They are talking in a manner that would, of course, try to win back persons who were sycophants and have turned. So they want at least them to vote for them. Sycophants and all are not voting for them. So they realize that. So they engage. Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, I know the pre-work going on there, no?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose all those who they have a crew down there, they go and all about trying to clear up people.
Yeah, that is the people they want to at least vote for them. Because if a sycophants cannot vote, as they will not vote, they would withdraw their vote. If they can't vote for the UNC, they will withdraw the vote. But
that's right.
But they want to try to appease those to at least come out and vote and see if, of course, they will get something. I say, hold the tail.
Hold the tail.
Yes.
Lennox, God don't sleep, boy.
At all.
Right? I cannot imagine how all that flood take place here. The only I could say, Lennox.
Yeah.
They may walk in, they may clean every thing. Now you have drones where you could look and see all the dirty part of river nasty and whatnot.
Yeah.
You can't have no excuse and say what people throw nothing in no river. You know, people don't want to hear that again, you know.
Of course not.
Because they could stay in your office, tell all the drones and see where you want cleaning and where you want cleaning, and go and clean it.
That's right.
But you know what they're doing? They say, man, leave it there, especially if it's down in South. Leave it there, let it flood out, but you turn them back on them now, as you see. Whom the God wish to destroy. Why don't play with God? They should know that.
Don't play with that. Don't play with that. Do not do that with the people. And of
Why?
course, they are demonstrating now how cursed they are. That every single thing they touch has turned to the biblical pillar of salt.
Yeah,
And will
Lennox,
continue to
you might
intensify.
know much about the PNM government on their regular, but not one of them in our government. They have, included already could not get into that government.
No, not one, not even Manning. Manning couldn't step on the doorsteps of that.
But
The
already-
PNM failed by not having a proper succession plan. But even when your stars, the upper echelons has been decimated as they were in 1986, it would have been difficult for them to come back. But of course, this fella, the former Prime Minister Manning, he talked about, of course, a new PNM. Well, I want to hear what Rowley going to be saying now. What happened to that new PNM that has turned old? They were living, of course, back in the past and have
But of course, the whole government
reverted to their corrupt self. Yeah.
None of them in this government can get in that government, boy. Not one.
Not one of them. I said that already. That worse yet for a fellow like Rowley, a rapist and a pedophile. A rapist and a pedophile who himself is saying that a rapist and a pedophile can't be a candidate for the PNM, but he, as the head of the government, of the party, and therefore government, yes, a rapist and a pedophile. Before he all right, you try to hide it. You try to, of course, feel that you would have gotten through. Now that it's in the public, you wouldn't even resign. You wouldn't even, of course, you wouldn't even adhere to your own suggestion that if a government cannot deal with crime and the other issues that this government is plagued with more than anybody else, he wouldn't even resign. He wouldn't even consider it. He going and meet Prime Minister, he going abroad, he coming back, he making press conference and so on, and he wouldn't say, listen, I'm going to call the election early because I said that if a government cannot cope with the problems, and pretending, of course, that the multiple record-breaking murders year after year under the Rowley administration, he's pretending it never happened, and then telling us about drones, and telling us, of course, about relationship with the United States, and telling us, of course, relationship with Canada, and now telling us about crime initiatives with India, and so forth and so on, and will not take the moral and ethical position and resign the blasted government. This man is a criminal extraordinaire.
But coming to you, go right where I wanted to come.
Go ahead.
That summit in Guyana, where the college with Moody gone down there.
Yeah.
Over the only, it was being generous statement, right? And say the crime in Trinidad and Suriname and what have you.
Yes.
And he come back here to talk, Rowley.
Yeah, of course. He come back down
to
put another layer on the propaganda and the deflection that and they have this tendency to use foreign example to show where Trinidad and Tobago should accept the level of crime, when in fact between 2010 and 2015 we didn't have that. One, and two, you dismantle most of the initiative that was put in place to achieve, comparatively speaking, the reduction in crime and criminality between 2010 and 2015 under Kamala Prasad Bisasa. And you want to come here and talk about other countries? I don't business with that. We must not business with that.
But why I telling you, Ali was being generous and just kind of human. He come back and talk about that.
Yeah, I know. That's what he will do as part of his propaganda. That is the deflection. On top of the deflection, we're trying to deflect. Yeah.
83,000 square miles.
Yeah.
Look at the size of that country compared to this. There's just about 1,084 square miles or something like that, I can't remember.
But Guyana did not have the resources then to solve their problems. Now that they have it, they are solving it by leaps and bounds.
And they will solve it very quickly,
Very quickly, yeah, because their population is pretty small comparatively speaking. They may have a lot of land, but comparatively speaking, they're a small population. So that will be easily addressed because they now have the resources to deal with the situation. But Rowley
And they go
and the
protect the borders,
PNM
Lennox.
always had the resources because Trinidad and Tobago was blessed and was always blessed with the sufficiency of resources for any government, including Rowley and the, whether it be this PNM or the PNM before Kamala Prasad Bisesa, but they are simply incompetent and the wrong people to manage the affairs of the country.
Let me tell you
Full stop.
something.
Yeah,
I heard something on the news ID,
go ahead.
and they want to bring a law. Some fellas stuttered. I don't know the comment? That if you have family and things coming from away, and they give you a US, that is a crime.
If what? If what? If what?
If you have family coming from the United States, and they give you US dollars, and you accept that, they want to make that a criminal offense, you know?
Yeah, because they realize that there is a vibrant black market, something that the PNM and Rowley before the 2015 election brought a blind man from America, a congressman or statesman, one of those fellas, and say that people have, Trinidad has a shortage of foreign exchange because of the mismanagement of Kamala and they. Now that they are in an acute state because they closed down the oil refinery that was supposed to be making US dollars, they allow over 12 companies from Point Lisas to leave that was making US dollars. We are in acute state now and they have whittled down, moved the reserves of foreign exchange, US dollars are talking about, from 10 billion when they met it in 2015 under Kamala Prasad Bisesa. They take over, it is now about 4 billion. You understand why they're getting desperate.
Yes, but Lennox,
Yeah,
they
they're
make
getting desperate.
21 oil companies leave the country, you know?
Huh?
When Rowley and them come into power,
Yeah.
they say Kamala giving away the country.
Yes.
And they make 21 oil companies leave here.
Leave here, telling you.
Right?
This is the point I'm making.
Not realizing that it's the US with them fellas giving away. Keeping the country
He
going.
don't know about eating little and living long. So he ain't accept no vaccine. He said to beg for vaccine is a embarrassing thing. So he prefer to pay in circumstances where nobody is selling a small country like this with a small population any vaccine at the time. Oh, so as he asked this man playing, I was never to be anything at all, far less the leader of the PNM. The PNM and all of them should be hanging their heads in shame to see that they have, of course, made this disaster, this curse called Rowley, head of their department, and a total and absolute rapist, and now a total destroyer and a corruption promoter to lead the Trinidad and Tobago. Unfortunately, 5 years morphed into 9 years and next year 10 years, and we don't know where Trinidad and Tobago will be at that point in time once these fellas remain there.
Everybody good looking one who we had here as Minister Labor. Jennifer Batiste.
Who? Oh, you mean Jennifer Batiste?
Yes. I refuse to meet with ArcelorMittal.
That's showing you is a bunch of incompetent people who have destroyed us, who have sent a begging, who have, of course, caused in a puff opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago to go a begging, and them wanting to still remain there. Yeah, boy.
Eh? And you trying to restart that company and all along?
Yeah, and now, and the man so blind. He said Naikwan, who they give endless of our foreign exchange. He said that will be a game changer. When it blew up twice, he said he believed that he could just walk away and say that they tried to help Naikwan enough. No, Rowley, you had to make a jail. We're talking about you. So wait. What Rowley is saying is that a bank, you working for a bank, you made multiple bad investments. And when it turns out that it's because of your friends, not because of due diligence, and of course a proper, what I consider to be evaluation as to the viability And you believe that you could stay there and not make a jail, not be charged for fraud and for, of course, nepotism and cronyism in this particular case, and insider trading, all of that.
But boy, Lennox, let somebody else call now because I want to know why.
Yes, my friend. Oh yeah, somebody's calling. Sorry about that. All right. Sorry about that caller. Go ahead, my friend. Good night. Welcome, caller.
Good night. Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, good night to you, my friend. Sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah, I just called to say, Mr. Lennox, listen now. We had a joke at the century here, you know.
Yes.
Just imagine, I looking at the newscast, right? And this dunderhead, this idiot we have our prime minister, right? Imagine this man talking about protecting the Caribbean, right? And he's this great protector, and everybody in Trinidad and Tobago know the man is a crime promoter. You know, that had to be the joke of the century. The man had to be utter serious madman, you know.
He's a serial psychopath, a sociopath. They don't call it psychopath again, they call it sociopath. He's a serial sociopath. Rowley is that, no doubt.
I can't believe I'm watching the news and seeing that, you know. But this man talking about he wants to be the Caribbean protector and all kind of thing. We want to do mash up the whole of the Caribbean too.
Yeah. Mr. Rima, just hold on, please. I just have one question.
Yeah, you just mash up the country.
Yeah,
the country has the money because you and your gangsters and them thief for the country money. Had the country in a mess. Everything in a mess. And you want to be the Caribbean protector? To protect who? Who from who?
That's really the joke of the century. I didn't see it, but I will take a look. All right.
Sometimes, Mr. Listener, sometimes I just want to cuss, you know. Thank God I don't cuss, you know.
Yeah.
Serious, you know.
Thank God it's true, because so many people want to cuss. Keep that venom under control for election day.
I got it,
Yes, pleasant good night, Mr. Rima. Good night to you.
Hello, good night. I hear the caller say he does feel to cuss. Yes. I just hear you cussing now, you know, Lennox. I just cuss. Everybody know that I get banned for cussing.
Is it?
But I never cuss on Mr. Amar's station. I know his WhatsApp.
All right, okay, I hear you, my friend.
Anyhow, I will cuss just now.
Please don't.
Lennox.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lennox, you know how I just limit myself with my tongue on your program.
Yes, I know that.
That ain't nothing compared to how I could reach.
I know. Very, very, very nicely. I think you have exhibited, a responsible sense of control, and that is wonderful. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyhow, what I want to say is, if it have a gathering with our organization, let's talk about United Nations, where they want to have a resolution on the war with Ukraine, right? And Russia. And countries have to vote because they want to have a resolution. They want to discuss and see what they could come to. So they vote. And when a country abstain, what kind of thing is that, boy? And that is a big obstruction, a humbug, a shitness,
of course. Not only does it say they're not certain where you stand, but it's also, they say silence is consent, and therefore what you're doing is consenting to what the issue that they're trying to solve. You're supporting that issue.
Thank you very much. I want to tell the backside who called my name on the ground report. And they had to correct him and say, Mr. Rima, don't call this program. Right? Beulah, you called in after Andy explaining. I want to tell the backside that when it had the question asked in the United Nations concerning a resolution for the war with Ukraine and Russia, and even with Palestine and India. But I want to talk more about Russia.
Okay.
Many times they want to discuss something. What Moody and them do, what India do, they abstain. So when you don't know something, when I say that he causing problem in the world, that is the world, that is the international community needs support for something. And the man only abstaining here concerned. Follow, go on Google and see who he's supporting with the Palestine-Israel war. Go there and see your damn backside.
Yeah, I hear you.
And want to be talking. Them callers from the States, Lennox, I find the damn dotish, you know, and they calling me dotish down here. They're out of order, you know.
I had a run-in on Friday. I think I did
the
well.
The damn head shaking, all of them. That one next one with a weird voice. He need to pee and go in his bed early because he head does be shaking.
Yeah. I thought it was ridiculous.
I don't bother people, you know. I don't tell nobody nothing. They just want to attack me. And this is why I just have to cuss.
I hear you. But I want to tell you that...
Anyhow.
Yeah, go ahead before I
anyhow, Rowley and his gang, people there in the CARICOM, they had their symposium again, like it had different section in this gathering there in Guyana, you know.
Yeah, they had a lot of side meetings, besides
on the crime talk, they want to make this thing pass where citizens who go in other CARICOM countries, they will extradite now.
Yes.
Why they didn't fix up that before, after they kidnapped the man in Barbados? They know they blasted wrong.
Yeah.
Or they're coming now. I tell you, these people dangerous, you know, Lennox.
Extreme.
Them CARICOM people dangerous. We have to keep advocating. We don't want them to come in no observers. We're going to bring them for observers to observe in the election. We mustn't forget he out to thief the election, right? He have a plan. Them want to stay there because of this dragon gas and the bacchanal story with this bacchanal bank and thing with Stuarty have with his family or his family bank, however it go, but he might have shares in it. Where you say they, Lennox?
Of course, I am not. I'm not a skeptic. I'm saying categorically he has.
Yeah.
He and his father.
They're paying for thing with $50 when they're paying the thing with US.
Yeah, they have an interest
to shut up people when know what's going on.
Yeah.
Want to give it that to hold, but I ain't holding it at all. You understand? This man is a dangerous man. I always call him a gas pirate.
Yeah.
Right? Thieving that gas and pirating them gas. That is the goal. Israel bacchanal with that Venezuelan gas, you know, with contraband.
Oh yes. There's all kinds of Zandoli.
The blood gas sweet, the building.
All kind of nefarious, greedy, should I say, avarice Zandolis will come out from the holes, yeah?
Right. I wanted to say something else, you know, but I forget. But Anil Roberts coming out now. Listen to Anil.
All right.
We should be preparing to see how to fix ourselves with this border here. Because all kind of thing going and take place over there just now, you know, because the crazy man, Rowley gang man friend, going to look to swearing in December. Then Trump swearing in January. So I say in the next 6 months, they got sanction up the backside. And we too could get sanctioned because the citizens ain't doing anything about it. The opposition ain't fighting neither. We just watching and talking. So if all you feel it's going to be only the government right now, as how things is, I know if the sanction we backside, you hear, the citizens, it's going to have some civil war inside of here, civil unrest. It's going to have martial law, and it's all kind of things going to take place inside of here. You hear? So we, the people, have to come out and protest to save ourselves, the citizens, from being sanctioned. And this is something I live through it. The dread piece of sanction we could get is if you see the stop money transfer, right? Where we cannot transfer or receive. we get up, we ask that. Because it have people all know Christmas time, the family sending a little dinero for them, whether it be from the UK, Canada, wherever. You want a little dinero to buy a little this and that.
Yes.
Right? If that happen, dog eat your supper. Also, if we get embargo, well, look here, Lennox are gone.
No, wait. Before you go, you're saying that Maduro will be
Don't
sworn in?
ask me for no money. I don't have
No,
money.
I'm saying,
Where you want money?
No. I'm asking if Maduro will be sworn in December, you say? Maduro?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yes.
No. Why I asked that? Because I want to see if Rowley had the belly to send somebody to witness that. I want to see
if
that.
he had the belly to witness it.
To send somebody to witness it. I know Dylan is across there, but I want to see if he would make special arrangement to witness the swearing ceremony of Maduro. You say Maduro's presidency is being sworn in, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes, I believe it's December. Watchman, he could send security, and the last time he sent Dennis Moses.
Right, so I want to see if he had that belly, knowing that Trump could be on the case. I want to see that.
Yeah,
and anytime he didn't do it, you know it's because he understands what is lurking. Anytime he do it, but
yes.
if he does it, it means therefore he putting us. He don't care. He further doesn't care and putting us in further danger. So
he's a damn coward. He's sneaky.
Yeah, of course he's a sneaky fella. All right then, thanks very much. I just wanted to, confirm that. All right. So I will do some checking on that to see whether or not he has to be sworn in or he has yet to be sworn in. I found it significant that no talk was made of his swearing in the context of this government, even though of course they were castigated, they were chastised, and they were ridiculed, this government, for sending somebody to witness his last, of course, questionable swearing. Maduro's, on the last occasion 4 years ago. I want to see what will happen now. And as I say, if he tell anybody or you remain silent on the matter, bet your bottom dollar he recognized that his political, should I say, opportunism and his political fortunes are being weighed, and therefore they will err on the side of what? Of being cautious and not, of course, trying to aggravate Donald Trump. What you see? Mark my words. Remember, I told you that when he would have gone to Guyana, it was about telegraphing back to Trinidad that, listen, he talking to, of course, Moody, etc. And he did, of course, do something on his own Facebook page. And we saw him, of course, like a dumbbell. Yes. Like a total dumbbell, like a glad handle, as we would say in Laventille, next to, of course, Moody, looking all flustered and excited. But say a prime minister, why would you? He's a prime minister. You're supposed to appear calm and and collective and so on. But instead, he was talking. He gave me the impression that, listen, oh, I can't believe I'm here. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night.
Sitaram.
Yes.
Mohandas, Shri Mohandas Baba. Sitaram to you, to all your listeners, local and foreign, and share the life. Now, Mr. Gandhi, I want to ask you something. You know, in India, in 18 when, and in the 70s, when the Queen did have the hold on India, you know what was the size of the Queen army?
The size
you have any idea?
Of the Queen's army?
Yeah, in India. Then no, His Majesty.
No, I don't know. I don't know. No.
The size of the army, what the British had in India, was less than 2,000 people, right?
Uh-huh.
And they had over 300,000 soldiers. You understand what I say, right?
Yeah, go ahead, yes.
You understand what I say?
He says
The
the army
British
is
themselves-
less than 2,000, but they have 300, meaning that, of course, they will be Indians. Go ahead.
All right. So you catch the story I'm telling you now.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yes.
right. So the British was in the minority,
Yeah.
and is the Indians was the majority of soldiers.
Yeah.
And what the British was doing to the Indians, Mr. Lennox, the army, what they was doing, you Mahatma, the great Mahatma, Ashadans, they was beating him when he asked for independence and equality for his people. Understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's the same Indian people who make up the army were beating the same Indian people in the village where they come from. Yeah. And the same people who would work in the land to feed them. So now we come to Trinidad. Right?
Uh-huh.
The PLM supporters support the political party and the choice of the leader. They put the leader in place, and yet still, their own people suffering them and taking out, beating them, and not giving them the rightfully earnings and the right to exist. You're talking about poverty and the right to deliver, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I just gone to India to show you and to bring it back home here. That is, we as a people, right, who had the power, give it up for the minority, right? Because they tell we supposed to be loyal to them. You understand what I said?
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Right?
they reverse it.
So-
They reverse it. The majority has now become the minority as far as they're concerned, and the minority prevail implicitly. Yeah.
Right? And suffer everybody.
Yes.
So, just to justify your topic you start with, I might be wrong, but I stand to be corrected. So, when we as a people, right? Now, I will tell you a little story about me. I am a proud third generation of coolies from India.
Okay.
I'm the third generation of an indentured laborer,
Okay.
right? And they can research it and they will see. So my grandfather, my mother, and then me, right? So when they check it, it's so close to indentureship. I belong.
Mm-hmm.
And listening and seeing the time of Eric William to know the journey and time and life of this economy, it was think under the PLM. You could put a dog in high heel and lipstick. It will still remain a dog. You could take a baby vulture, as they call a kobo, from a chick and put it in a golden cage and feed it the best of cooked meat and everything. When it let go, nature will go back to eating dead carcasses. And you see, the PNM under Eric William, he created this format that his successors always gravitate to thief for themselves and never try to help the people. And it's only when we see among the Indians they was fighting, just as Barish Maharaj and them, and just as we put we head above the water, they pulled me back down. So that's why he's showing the Indian diaspora and the African diaspora.
Yes.
How it has similarity, right? But the African diaspora will stay knitted and still stand firm, no matter what you do them and how you treat them. They believe in what they were taught and the love. But you see, unless we as a people to really understand, is when the two of us come together, you and I, Mr. Lennox, then we just have a better life, better way, and a good future. In 2014-13, we said, and yes, we're reaching what Manning wanted for the 2020 vision, and he visionaries, and he tried. Just imagine, 2020 come and go on, very first world status. So you see, we had everything under the UNC. We were educating, getting jobs, training. As you say, we had everything to export labor for the world market, to create employment and stability. Right now, the working class is down to zero like dog. A dog still better off than them. But yet still, the eagerness to rebel and saying, I shall not be treated like a slave or an indentured laborer and live in harsh conditions. The ILO had put in place things that were the unions and them follow it for a better life. You are fighting the same way in Lavantil for Lavantilians for a better life. And look at the kind of stolen and the wickedness they're doing. Why it is the anthem say every people must have an equal place and you are being suffered. And you know the nice thing about it, and this make me laugh. You are East Indian and you'll suffer in here. Much less if you was African, boy. Whatever that do you? Eh? Whatever that do you? They might have throw over the hill. So you see, it's not about ethnicity and race. It's just that one party just don't care. And we are the people who have to wake up and know that one love, true love, and unity and togetherness will take me out of this. Look what's going on in Haiti now. Barbecue ain't want no government is trying beside he. So you see it now? So Mr. Lennox, I don't know if we reach or we pass where we're going, but I feel we no way to be found. Have a nice night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think it's a good launching platform from the last caller, of course, to get directly into, of course, the issues about the creativity and those of us who are conscious and have the capacity and the willpower and the knowledge to, of course, generate the transformation that is required in order to make certain that we roll back the decadence, the destruction, the retrogression that the Rowley administration between 2015 and now, and of course until they get the hell out of office, would have initiated by their conduct, attitude, policies and programs, all of which have been misappropriated. Now is the time, of course, to do so. And I was making the point earlier that, of course, a group of Lavantilians came together under my auspices. In the background, you will see, of course, an acronym called MLIO. Take a note of that. MLIO. We formed, of course, the Mova Lavantil Improvement Organization. And under that, we developed, of course, what is called a trade school. So the Mova Lavantil Improvement Organization Trade School. You've seen it there? MLIO. And for more than, well, between 1984 and 2000, in essence, we produced over 6,000 young people of the type, let me repeat, of the type that the government and the society today are concerned about, and that is to say, those young people who are either engaged or have the capacity to engage in criminal behavior and therefore gangster or gang affiliation or association. That is the task that we gave ourselves. And we went about it by starting, of course, small. We had some 25 young people of that type right up in Parsi Street, Upper Parsi Street, opposite Morgan Lane, for those who are in the vicinity or know the area. And there we started MLIO. But what is important is not that the young people and their gravitation thereto, but what the program was all about. I indicated that the program was designed for dealing with young people who would have been either engaged or have the potential to engage in crime and criminality. Engaging in crime meaning that most likely many of them would have been already before the courts, but they are outside on bail, or they would have had maybe a judgment against them, and now there is a facility to treat with them. We have those who have the potential, meaning that mommy, daddy, the community, the football team, the village council, the educational facility that is operating on a community basis must now tell us, because we would give them 2 or 3 scholarship opportunity to send those young people to us, and thus of course making a part and parcel of the cadre of over 300 youths at a time that will graduate from the program and of course be in the program so that they can benefit from the fruits of the affected, meaning that the attitudinal change that is required apart from learning 2 skills. We therefore divided the program into, of course, some 11 skills, but we twinned the skills. So therefore, if you are learning, let's say, auto mechanic, you must also learn auto electrician at the same time. Yeah. If you are learning, of course, electrician alone, then of course, you will be learning both auto electrician or electronics and that of house wiring or electrician, or you may have the option of doing what is called electronics, where of course you fix radios, TVs, etc. That is what we did. So you get for the first 6 months of your program, you are exposed, of course, to your minor, because you will tell us, look, I love welding. Well, of course, we will twin that with auto welding as well. We'll twin it with auto welding. So the first 6 months you learn auto welding, and then you go on to, of course, what is called fabrication welding. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox, me again.
Go ahead.
You hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
All right. In 1939 to 1945.
Yes.
World War II.
Yes.
The mighty Gurkhas was an Indian army. That was the British regal action all over the world.
Okay.
The name was the mighty Gurkhas. Now, the British army was walking into the whole British army like that wipe out. Right? And they had a fella called Gongadin. I always tell you about that fella.
Yeah.
He used to be with the British army all the time. They like him now. He learned to walk like them. And they like him and blow the trumpet. You know the trumpet, the danger song and everything.
All right.
And he was walking into a certain that the whole army was going to get destroyed. And he climbed a tower and he blew the bugle. And the Muslims shoot him down, he fall off and he dead. And even though in England, they might have been vexed, the British army at the time couldn't give a damn. They saw what went on.
Right.
And they gave that fella a military funeral.
Right.
They didn't care what England think. They on the battlefield, they see what went on.
Right.
So whether or not England is approve of that, the British army didn't give a damn about that. That one fella saved the whole army. Gongadin is the name of the fella.
All right.
In India, he was just as famous as Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
You must see that movie, Gongadin.
What's the name? Gongadin?
Gongadin, yeah.
Gongadin. All right, boy. You have to write down the movies for me, you know, because by the time I finish here, I may well forget, as I have in the past. So if you write it for me, I'm sure going to look for them and of course have a good list
of all time,
of good movies. Yes, yes.
Cary Grant was his star in that movie.
All right.
With Douglas Fairbanks and Victor McLeod. Watch that. You talk about action, Lennox.
All right, okay.
Gongadin.
All right.
The British
I'll try
Army.
to remember and see if I could. I have a quiet night tonight. It is Saturday night, so I will certainly, of course, try to view some movies when after 10 o'clock. I'll try to make it on time for 10 o'clock.
Well, it's a long movie. Yeah?
Well, right. Well, be even better. So it means therefore I have to make sure and finish the night at 10.
But if they show them kind of movies today,
Yeah.
young people wouldn't go
People learn a lot. Yeah. But they gravitate into other technology, other information technology. So with content that really is not consistent with development in the way that we know it.
Right. So.
But we have to work with what we have.
Already?
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah, but we have to work with what we have. So let us get back, of course, to the program. You see, I am making this point to show that there are people out there who not connected to government, don't have any money, but of course saturated with an idea and implement it for the greater good. In this particular case, we are a party called the PNM, that because the founding fathers, people like myself, Mr. Ramsey and Miss Rosie and others, have not declared their association with the PNM, or put another way, have maintained their independence and their insistence thereof in order to address the problem of those young people that has nothing to do with politics, that has nothing to do with, of course, a people extraneous, let's say, a sensation or their focus, but merely to develop them and to give them an opportunity to become the best citizen they can be. You have people in the PNM, the government at the time, not recognizing how significant that is, but only about self-serving and how they want to remain in office. I remember very distinctly, to continue, when we launched the program officially in 1986 after the NAR won the election, it was A.N.R. Robinson who came up to, of course, give the formal address. Right up in Laventille there, on top Passy Street. Those of you who are watching now and listening will know that from Passy Street and environs and Laventille, Chumakak, Beta, Mova, Silats, etc., and all the surrounding communities will recall if you were wrong at the time. And when Robinson was making his address, he said, Mr. Smith, you ain't only bring my whole cabinet up in Laventille, you bring the whole world. And what did he mean? He meant that when he came there, he saw, of course, several of his cabinet ministers sitting in the audience, as well as representatives from the British embassy, the Canadian embassy, the Dutch embassy, I think the Venezuelan embassy as well, and a number of other emissaries from different countries who have embassies and high commissions here, sitting in the audience in Laventille. Yes, people. Because we were determined to give those young people the best chance that they could have, in order, of course, to do the best thing that they could do for themselves, their community, their families, etc. That is and was the vision, and can be done when the Kamala Prasad Bisesa regime comes into office again. I have decidedly said that I will never lift a hand, a finger to help the PNM, having regard to what I know, and of course the leader himself being, of course, a blasted pedophile and a rapist. I cannot work for a pedophile and a rapist. That's not waste time. And of course, it is clear that those who have gravitated is either of like manner, or that 30 pieces of silver, and therefore a bunch of female and male Judases. 30 pieces of silver. But even in those circumstances, if it is that they are able to deliver to the people, then I have no problem. But Lennox Smith will not be a part of that and promote that kind of what I consider to be licentious, evil, immoral, unethical, and criminal conduct and behavior by way of course, participation by my presence. And of course, I decided that I will talk out and therefore not to be counted as one of those who have remained silent and say, listen, silence is of course consent. No. No. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox?
Hey, pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hi, pleasant
nice.
good night.
Yes.
Pleasant good night. You know, Lennox, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to your song and I'm listening to you. But Lennox, you just said something that had made me say, let me call you and ask you a question. About developing the youths and all this kind of thing. And when the government come back into office, right?
Yes.
Lennox, you remembered with the People Partnership Government, how often, I don't know if you were there at the time, I can't recall so much. You could remember how much, almost every week, Fazil Karim used to be on the ground report.
Yes.
And Fazil Karim encouraging the youths and them, get off the corner, get off the streets, come and register for the drilling school, the welding school, aviation, right? Yeah. They even set up a program. They even set up a program for skilled people to come and get certified for better paying jobs. Lennox, where did that program go? How many people actually got involved in it? And then they want to say, come, the government did nothing for black people. You see, that is what is getting me vexing, Lennox. You would swear that when Kamala and them was doing for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, she said, I only want Indians up front. Or Chinese or white or whatever, Caucasian. I want the Africans to stay in the back. Or you ever hear she saying anything, so Lennox?
No, nothing of the sort.
That is what...
She's blind to that.
Exactly.
Blind to that, yeah.
That is why, that is getting vexed, Lennox, when you see they're talking so... And it have quite a few of them on the chat. Well, not only this chat, right? But that Kamala never did anything for the African people. Why it always have to be about Africans and Indians?
Well, at the same time,
we so dumb.
Yeah, but at the same time, you would know that the same people will acknowledge that the Kamala Prasad Bissessa administration was the box drain government. What do you think they mean by that? What do you think they mean by that? That, I mean, box drains are not so applicable to, let's say, Central and so on, but certainly applicable to the East-West corridor, where the majority of the Africans reside. That is what they're referring to. That is one of the references they made as far as box drain government is concerned.
Because, Lennox, if you have to fix a landslip, you must fix the box drain.
That's right. You must drain first, yes.
But you see the narrative that Rowley was pushing. They fell for it.
Yeah.
They fell for it. You understand? Lennox, look at today, the flooding that we see in Diego Martin. I hope our friend Woodbrook, she wasn't affected because she lives Pitty Valley, yeah?
Yes, yes.
She lives Pitty Valley. I hope that when I see the condition of the place, and you notice there's a lot of PNM constituencies, you know why? That's God work, Lennox. I'm sorry to say, but that's God work. That's a laughing at the people in South and telling them they're building in the lagoon. Who built in the lagoon now, Lennox? For all that raging water that came down. Who built in the lagoon?
You know, you touched a very good point there that I have been contemplating on. At one time, I never believed in necromancy or indeed the supernatural and those kinds of what I consider to be extra whatever it is they just call it. Yeah, but the point is extra sensory perception and all that. But the point is that here it is, there has always been a situation from the experience we have had from since 2015 that when Rowley and them speaks about one thing that is supposed to be beneficial to us, it turns out to be worse for us. It turns out to be the opposite. That's why I just talk about if they tell you to close your eye, open it up wide. If you tell you to jump, you stand up and so on. And here it is.
Stand up straight,
Just about 2 weeks ago, a similar situation has developed. And now, this is a natural phenomenon. But the thing is, you're wondering whether or not even the natural phenomenon has gone against this government. Because remember, 2 weeks ago, we had the situation in penal and environs and so on, and they did not respond as they ought to have. Today where, and there was the claim, there was the argument that because they were UNC-based constituencies, the thing come and inundate the PNM-dominated constituencies. And worse yet, I find it, I cannot say, I find it not just passing strange, but par for the course with this government, that every time they think about something evil and they say it is good, because they claim that no, they were not victimizing the people in penal, etc., but the people were not getting the resources, that they were taking away money from these regional corporations and diverting it to projects that they prefer, like of course the rehabilitation of the forests and of course CPEP. And now today, look what has happened. Look what has happened.
Lennox, that was real disastrous,
Yeah, that worse than karma. That is a phenomenon that I simply cannot contemplate. I mean, it is enigmatic. But go ahead. I thought I should raise that point.
And Lennox, what they were saying too is people they're causing it. The people in penal cause it. Because one on your chat said, why Kamala don't tell she people not to throw nothing in the river? I want to say tonight now, why Rowley don't tell the people don't throw nothing in the Governmental River. Stuart Young should tell them don't throw nothing in the St. Anne's River.
Yeah. But something is sending a message to Trinidad and Tobago, it is clear.
Exactly, Lennox. Let me tell you something.
That is phenomenal, that is abstract, that is in the atmosphere, that is sending something to Trinidad and Tobago, and is always connected to, whether directly or indirectly, to the inappropriacy or the devastation caused since the advent of Rowley and the PNM in 2015.
Because he did wrong to get into office, Lennox. He did wrong, right? Lennox, this morning I was in town, and when it was extremely hot this morning, and we were all talking about it, how it was extra hot.
Yes.
You understand? Yeah, it was extra hot.
And then this deluge came. Yeah.
Then this thing come, yes. When I reach home now, a little after I reach home, the rain started. And with this thunder and lightning and thing, I said, thank God I did not, because I have to go to the bottom of Charlotte Street, which always flooding to get a taxi to come home. Right? Lennox, I was so fortunate. But Lennox, you said something earlier. God is sending a message. Let me tell you something here. We are praying people, regardless of what, we are praying people. Right? Lennox, when the time comes, we all kneel and pray. And I am saying, Lennox, something worse could happen in this country, but because of the people and their genuine prayers, I think that's why we are not getting it, Lennox.
Yeah.
You understand? Because in Lennox, let me tell you something. Every day we have an earthquake, Every day. The seismic center could tell you every day that we have earthquakes. Sometimes it's just so low. Sensitive people will feel it.
Yeah.
And then they get up to 5.
Yeah.
Thank God we never get higher than a 5, Lennox. Yeah. And it's because we are praying about it, Lennox. Right?
Yeah.
But after I see what happened today in Diego Martin and St. Anne's and all those places, here in man, Lennox, I was scared when I see it. And you see the cars and them. Here in the man, it's to the roof. What it is going on. But let us don't learn, Lennox. Let us don't learn, right? And let us only continue with this racial bullshit. You understand?
Yeah.
And see how far I could get them. Lennox, look at what that man take.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Look at how that man take a simple campaign of feeding the poor and turn it into something racial with the bananas.
Yeah.
Because that racist only see the bananas in the bag. He didn't see the oranges. He didn't see the other things in the bag. And his people run with it. His people run with it. You hear? And that is what we have to try to stop in this country. This racial nonsense that's going on in this country. Because it ain't helping nobody, Lennox.
Of course not. In fact, it
not
has
helping,
endangered us because they are promoting a group of persons who ought not to be in office. A leader who clearly has lost his way, ought not to have been in office in the first place, could not have made the grade if, of course, the PNM was not decimated in 1986. And, of course, if the succeeding leader did not, of course, bring him into government, because he's a neophyte. Let's not waste time.
Yeah, because he came in as a senator.
Yeah, braggadocio, and of course, and then started to fight. He appeared to be a newly mint coin and a new kid on the block, a no-nonsense man. He looked as though he was a corruption buster.
He was a corruption buster,
and what he really is a corruption promoter. He turned out to be.
That's right.
Right?
That's
and every
right.
single thing
Because
that he has said that will be beneficial to Trinidad and Tobago is either futuristic, and when that future would have materialized, it turned out to be pie in the sky. I mean, to the detriment of the country. And that is what we are seeing as a normative behavior, as a idiosyncrasy, as a modus operandi. And we must pinch ourselves. But go ahead. I have something finally to say after you finish.
What it is I wanted to say earlier, one of your callers said it. He said that it was laughable that Rowley talking about security. But I want to say charity begins at home. You tell the people, don't blame you. Don't blame you for the crime in the country, but you were blaming Kamala.
Totally dishonest.
He's dishonest
to the core. Right? I wouldn't use the term I like to associate with that because you are there.
We can't.
But because you are there, but I will use it after. But I'm saying that he's dishonest. At least I could use that because it is clear. But go ahead.
Yeah. But Lennox, let me tell you something. They run him twice out of Balisay house. And I will live to see them run him a third time.
Oh yes,
he will get it worse than what they did Patrick Manning.
Yeah, that's inevitable.
In 2010.
Yeah, that's inevitable.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Lennox, and have a good night.
Yes,
I'm listening.
Thank you very much. Yes, of course, that was, of course, our external correspondent, Miss Santa Cruz, of course, making her contribution. A very hectic conversation. But when the issue, people, of the flooding in Governmental came, you know what came to my mind? Quite apart from the fact that they were very, what I consider to be glib. They were not, I'll put it another way, they were insincere about their commitment to the penal people. You hear it in their voice and you see it in their conduct. Like for example, when the fire service officers took their mattresses from their dormitory and went outside to sleep. And of course, it was as a consequence of the heat that their dormitory was making, as a consequence of the absence of air condition that for months they were claiming were dysfunctional or were not provided. You know, when Hines was asked the question, Hines said, listen, the people and them move out their mattresses because they are patriotic. They wanted to paint the dormitory. I mean, come on. What is this? What kind of unnecessary insult? You cannot say, well, listen, when you're going to get it, and it was because of the bad air condition or the overburden of having to wait so long to get air condition to be refitted into that facility. The other one that comes to mind immediately is when, of course, people were lining up to pay property tax, a tax that Rowley said in 2015 he will never implement that. If, of course, anybody say that the PNM will implement that if he gets into office, they are dangerous. They are blatant liars. They are totally dishonest. You see them lining up outside in the sun, having forced them to go and pay, give them a time frame. Notice, as a time frame to pay property tax. It was a time frame to exchange your money from polymer put another way, from cotton to polymer. Notice that it was a time frame to go and deal with the amnesty. Notice that. They lied and printed pamphlets and pay for advertising in the initial stage of the property tax, and saying go and fill out the forms because they are available, because you're going to have a $10,000 or a $5,000 penalty and I think 6 months or something so in prison. Rowley and them did that. It's the court that said, no, that is wrong. And that you could only implement the property tax when you have a register of 200,000 of the 400,000 properties or properties that you have that you know to have in Trinidad. And they had to do it all over again. I want you to understand what is happening here. So Rowley in the parliament, when people said that, listen, well, put better accommodation for the people who have to go and pay the property tax now that you have passed the law in order to make it happen. Kamala Prasad, of course, said she will repeal it, the first thing she will do, and one expects that, and that will happen when she gets into office. But I'm showing you how they are playing the fool and how they are evil. And then, of course, when Rowley had to respond to that, just now, caller, let me just finish this. When Rowley had to respond to the... Yes, hold on. To the lining up, when he had to respond, he said that these people are coming there, they are coming there voluntarily, and of course we know that they are willing to pay because they are patriots, etc. When in fact he forced them to come and pay, and he making a slight of that. So Diego Martin is no exception, and I'm not surprised. There's one more thing I want to say on that matter, but let's go to the lines. We always give way to the callers. A pleasant good night, welcome.
Hi Lennox, yeah, good night.
Good night to you.
Lennox,
yes.
about the flooding and thing that taking place all over. It had a prophetic woman, a young girl, and she is an American, a black woman, but very nice. That is follow she.
Okay.
And she prophesied about Trinidad and Tobago.
All right.
And she did prophesy about a flooding is coming.
All right.
And she said it will be so great. I will send you that video which she prophesying about Trinidad.
About Trinidad?
Yeah,
right, I'll appreciate that.
Yeah, about Trinidad. And she called on the people. She said God hates what's going on in this land. And He's going to give them, a shaking by sending a great flood.
Wow.
Because He is displeased about what's going on in this country. And He's displeased about... she specified on the necromancy, and the witchcraft and obia, and she said that how judgment is coming upon this land. So I listened to she carefully, and and with the flooding and thing that really coming, I mean, look how it moving all over. So nobody cannot laugh at nobody, no villages, no little, counties,
no political preference, but the indictment is on the government for being unprepared and attempting, of course, to play politics with these things, when in fact all are subjected, including, of course, those that are in their constituencies. Yeah.
Right, because the Bible said the rain fall on the just and the unjust.
That's right.
So if Rowley then think that they're going to get away, they have another thing coming for them.
Yes.
And the judgment and the wrath of God is upon this land already.
Yes.
And according to Miss Santa Cruz just said, She just said that Howard, yes, it have some praying people that prays genuinely. And it's because of the pray of the sincere people that go down on their knees and bruise their knees for this country to make this country a better place. God's sparing this country, eh?
Yes.
But we're getting a shaking up. We're getting a shaking up. And if people do not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, let it laugh. Let it go ahead and laugh and condemn this one and criticize that one and judge that one. Let it go ahead, because that is something God is displeased about with Trinidad and Tobago, and how Rowley want to change the coat of arms and think how what it says, La Trinity. This nation is blessed by God, and Rowley want to change this thing around. It ain't go work. Rowley playing with the Lord. And when you see God gave Rowley and this PNM government are shaking, watch me, the fall that they're going to fall, they ain't going to be able to get up again, eh? Because this is the Lord's country. This belongs to the Lord, Yeshua HaMashiach, and he's going to take it back, come what may. The rain fall on the just, and nobody have the right to laugh at anybody when they suffer in flooding or any kind of natural disasters.
Yes.
You know, Lennox?
Yes.
So, you know, I plead with the people, all get down on all your knees and pray. Children going missing, too many children hungry, coming Christmas, everything going up in the grocery, everything like that. What Rowley them doing? What Rowley them doing to this country, boy? What they doing? And my last thing before I
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the last thing before I go is they had some big parade or something in San Fernando. And when I tell you, it was real catch tail to get to work. I had to go all down by Gov City and make the wrongs right around because the whole of San Fernando block off.
Yeah, I think they had some mass situation because they celebrated, I think, the 40th or something year of the.
But is that so relevant that they have to block up the whole of San Fernando and put business people and everybody else?
Yeah, that is how
pressure?
they think. Yeah, that's how they think. And suddenly, without, of course, notice as well. That's how they think. Yeah,
and no notice. That is the thing. No notice. Last week Saturday it was the same thing. But what Rowley doing? Rowley feeding he people.
Yeah.
He feeding them for one day.
Yeah.
One day.
Sodom and
Take
Gomorrah.
that for one day.
Yeah. Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right, and all you vote me in, and another 5 years, all your ass will suffer.
That's right.
But take one giving all you for today. They live for today, but they don't study tomorrow.
Yeah.
You see, every choices a man make determines his destiny in life.
That's right. That's right. Well said. Well said.
Okay, Lennox.
Yes, thanks very much. Of course, that was Beulah, of course, making her contribution. Pastor, good night. Welcome. Before I make my intervention.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you, my dear.
Lennox. Good night, everyone in life. Lennox, what's going on now, boy? You know, yesterday was a Black Friday sale, right?
Yes.
I know Black Friday sale is be a half price kind of sale.
Okay.
Right. So this nasty stinking PNM and them. This man named Dominic, who his life. And he done support us on them, right? They were saying, I thought Trinidad do I show people of Trinidad suffering, but all they don't know, since from the beginning of the year, people are saving the $1 for the Black Friday sale. They know that, Lennox.
They don't know that so because they are blinded to that. There's something that is blocking their logic and common sense. And you can know
so
that
because they see hundreds of so because they see hundreds of people line up to go and buy something, people have money. No, not because they line up at half price.
That's
it's
right.
half price. They line up to get a little discount.
Because they won't get it again, Yeah, not that they have money, but they
God,
need it
Lennox,
and
people
take advantage of it.
They're so dunce. They're so illiterate, dunce, and stupid. Big people.
But there are those.
My God, Lennox.
Yes, thank you very much. But I want to say that those kinds of individuals are in the minority now, the vast minority, and they are becoming rapidly extinct. As I said, the major chunk of the sycophants have already agreed if they can't bring themselves to vote for Kamala Persad-Bissessar or the UNC, they would stay home, they would withhold their votes. What Rowley and they are attempting to do now is to try to get those votes first. So they have double work to do. quite apart from attempting, of course, to steal the election, which they are contemplating. We don't know which way it will go as yet, but certainly what we know is that we have to keep our eyes particularly on those marginal seats that they will want to tackle, not their so-called, but even their traditional seats. They may well find themselves, of course, without them at the end of the next election cycle, not the cycle, but at least the 2025 elections. Watch and see. But the point I want to make, quite apart from this, what I consider to be amorphous, meaning that there is no form, devilish, inimical, some kind of evil that seem to have engulfed Trinidad and Tobago. The chief, of course, perpetrator or originators or manufacturers of that is the PNM and a bunch of opportunistic political parasites, whether they be ministers, they are lurked in, of course, in state institutions as directors and chairman of a certain, of course, entities connected to the government, financed by you and I, the citizens. The point I want to make, I'm saying all that to say that we have to revise, and I have revised, the whole question of government, a government that is the manifestation of the people. In other words, Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God. We have to revise that and put it in context. You see, whilst we were talking, and Beulah and others were speaking as well, I remember, of course, when Moses went to Pharaoh and told Pharaoh, listen, let my people go. But in order to save the innocent, as Miss Santa Cruz referenced, they were supposed to put some kind of sign on specific doors so that the plague will pass over and go to those doors that are deserving. It reminds me of that scenario, that biblical scenario, when, of course, Moses was at the peak, was at the zenith of his tolerance of Pharaoh not wanting to let his people go. So we have to look at the whole question and revise the whole question of Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God, because many a times when you use the term, it refers, of course, to you get the government, of course, that you deserve, or put another way, you get the best government because, of course, the people have decided. I say to you that we must revise that and understand that the Lord may allow a particular group of persons forming the government, in this case the PNM, to rule merely to tell the people what not to do on the next occasion. They want to make sure, the Lord wants to make sure that, of course, you do not make that mistake on another occasion. The Lord wants to show you that the decision you make based on what they would have told you, and therefore they pretended that, of course, Kamala and they were corrupt, that they did this and they did that, and that they ought not to have been in office in 2015, and then, of course, you gravitated to them, you gravitated to Rowley and they, and, of course, you are now eating the bread that the devil needs. I say to you that Vox Populi, Vox Dei does not mean that you have chosen the best government. The voice of the people is the voice of God. Also means that you may make a choice that is so irrational, so insensitive, so destructive, so disastrous, that you are experiencing that which has been meted out to us between 2015 and now, and until they leave office. That's the point I'm making. So people, Let us not waste time. Because only a day will come and make you, of course, say, well, listen, all you voted me into office, and therefore, of course, I am deserving. No. It is clear that the Lord will allow a particular group of persons to come in office so that the population, in this case Trinidad and Tobago, realize, oh good, what not, and what mistake, and what fake Rowley and Day has manifested and have become to the detriment of Trinidad and Tobago. I thought I should make that intervention just to conclude that aspect of it. But I want to tell you that when Robinson came to Laventille and the launch of that initiative, he spoke to me personally and he said, Mr. Smith, and he did, of course, mention that on every occasion that he visited the program subsequently in other parts, in another part of Laventille, Fernandez Compound, when we moved the program to that facility because the 25-seater accommodation at Passage Street became extremely too small, and therefore we had to beg Fernandez. They gave us a whole warehouse, and we were accommodating over 300. By the time 1991 came about, when of course the NL lost the election, Robinson lost the election, and come into existence was the PNM under, of course, Patrick Money. And of course, we ate the bread that the devil need, because they were vicious, and they were unrelenting, and they were victimizing us to the point where by the time 2000, I say, not me, I done with that. Let Rowley and the PNM go and do what we were doing. And up to now, they cannot see their way. So we have to get back there and under Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the UNC. I'm saying that because we'll continue tomorrow on this topic, because it's already 18 minutes past. So this is the last call. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Yeah, I don't want to watch movies tonight. You can't see it too late.
Yes. I'm going to watch a long movie tonight.
Right. So I hear you mention that the court to tell Rowley and them can't implement the property tax law because they require the amount.
Yes.
Which was supposed to be 50%.
50%, that's right, yeah. Of the 400,000 properties that they have estimated to be in Trinidad and Tobago, yeah.
So they throw that. So also this law where they say they have like an illegal law then.
But that was then. But then they said afterwards that they made it the 200,000, and that is why it is now being implemented. You understand? Yeah, that was originally, yeah. I was making a point about how evil they are and how they control and deceive the people in order, of course, to cover up their incompetence and to, of course, raid our monies and misappropriate same.
This is why I was telling you, son, by my back.
Yeah.
That is all these extras what people pay, you know. Rather than paying, I believe that you want to use that to add it on to what they do have. And the date is going to become very important when the time comes.
Yeah, because other people are now responding because, of course, they continue, of course, to give these deadlines. But once you see them shifting, is because they didn't achieve the goal, so they keep shifting. But it means, therefore, people should be steadfast and say, do not respond to them and let them continue to shift until they shift out the extent to which they must be in office, and of course get out of office when Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the UNC are voted into office. And repeat that.
Huh? The people that are running to go and pay property tax now.
Yeah.
They must the dates have to be recorded, what time they're paying.
Yeah.
But they're so crooked. They will go and add on them things and say we always had that.
Yeah, they will do that. It's all kind of trickery they are engaged in. It's government by tricksters. Yeah, it's a kleptocratic group of individuals, government by thieves.
Well, Lennox, you could remember when the people in the government say, now I tell you I live there, and some of the people, you know. They make so many of them line up.
Yes.
Hundreds of them. Old people are ready to get whatever vaccine. And then they come outside and say, we are no more vaccine. They have no more vaccines. You can remember that?
Yeah.
And these people going back home just so.
Yeah.
They make them damn fools.
Yeah, of course. And remember when they say, but bulbs, so much bulbs they give away.
Bulbs?
Yeah, bulbs. They say they come and get LED bulbs.
LED bulbs?
Yeah. When you pay your light bill, I wonder how much people got. And of course, the next trick is that they give the senior citizens $1,000 and tell them, listen, you can't ride the boat again. But over 3 years, that $1,000 is waste of time.
And then the other fella try to help out those people, not in the go somewhere else. And bring chairs and things for them to sit down on.
Yeah, that is when, of course, Rowley said that they have to go and take the vaccine, and they were putting their pension at risk. They were punitive, and they were using that as a sort of dismissal, I believe it is the term, where of course they dangle it over your head, and you know you're forced to do what you don't want to do. Well, that is what they did. The sort of Damascene or something like that. But anyhow, the fact of the matter is that they tell them to go and do it because your pension will not be paid. People going out there and in the rain and in the sun, good citizens, good Samaritans at their expense put tent and chairs for them to sit down. But it was the first major episode of mass infection, because of course you're out there whole day as a senior citizen in a place where you have 2 bathrooms, maybe one for male, one for a female, and you have hundreds of persons outside. What do you expect? And then they had to eat, and they had to pull down their masks, and of course they're going to get people infected. They're going to get, of course, those persons who cry them to the exercise infected. That is what Rowley did. And then, just as how he said about Naikwan, he said, listen, the government, after over $450 million invested in Naikwan, and it blew up twice, he now says that government has reached its zenith in supporting it. Well, of course, he went to the nation and said, listen, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but we never had any vaccine, and we're sorry for you being there. Totally oblivious, and did not offer any assistance to those families whose loved ones will now die or have died, because he, Rowley, asked them to go out there and get vaccinated for a vaccine that they never had, that he confessed. This man's supposed to be brought before the International Criminal Court for geronticide, the killing of our senior citizens. And mind you, we ain't pass him, ain't meet him yet, according to the old people.
But let me tell you 2 things.
I'm telling you that. Go ahead, my friend. Yeah.
With the same COVID thing.
Yes.
I like how outside I go downstairs when you know my place.
Yes.
But these people really brainwash. And for the stop, he said, no, uncle, you can't come outside without your mask. Right?
Yeah.
You must put your mask, so I show him ventilation blocks on yours. I said, so what to do, block up all that too?
And that is the excuse they use for us in pushback 1. They say that we not socially gathering properly, and 30 something of the protesters, they think intimidating us to dissipate. The big savannah that could hold probably half a Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, I say, boy, look, thanks for your advice, but you're making you a damn fool.
Yeah.
You feel like this COVID traveling all on the pavement and all kind of shit.
Yeah, that's after the minister told us, don't wear mask, that God is a Trini and it will bypass us. Don't wear mask. And you leave it for, of course, the frontline or the first responders, doctors and nurses and so on. And afterwards, make a law to make sure that we wear it, you know. And you telling me that these fellas still in government? You're telling me these fellas still in government? I know they're not in government from the perspective of how the people hear them. And they're only in government because the law says so. But that law expires. It is terminated next year. It is terminated. Let me see what you're going to do.
That's the Alsing.
Yeah, the Alsing. Yeah, the Alsing.
That fellow is not a madman.
Yeah.
There are no madmen in this country,
Of course.
Remember, he wanted Gary Griffith to send the police inside people's house in the night.
Yeah, he and Rowley.
Yeah, the chief is saying.
Yeah, that was the first spat between he and thing that he ain't doing what he says, so he don't want him. You must do exactly what he wants you to do, even though it is illegal.
Yeah, who that we say 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
If we watching TV,
and listen, and I want people to note finally from me, Rowley is the only man in the world get COVID 3 times. What that tells you? What that tells you, people? Man is totally blind to curse. And nature and all gone against him. Look what happened in Martin today. Look what happened in Penal. After they try to, of course, say that it's only in Penal that will happen. And give the people the resources to remedy their situation. All now, some of them don't have mattresses to sleep on, don't have their furniture and so on. Well, he make it happen in their constituency since they want to make it political. You know they're talking a different story now. Yeah.
Sorry for that people will know we're not.
Yeah.
Because it's one country.
That's right, exactly.
It
must be equitably distributed. So they are no good, they are toxic, they are evil, and they have weaponized government against the people, and they must go. Now.
But here the kind of nasty man they are singing, you know. Imagine you say you're watching TV, right?
Yeah.
With your wife and your children and whatnot.
Yeah.
And police coming in your house to see what's going on, right? If we say it's apart. It's only a nasty man going to do that, Lennox.
Of course, but a worse man will tell a civil servant. I want you civil servants to listen. Tell civil servants, listen. Following what he encouraged the private sector to do, make sure that these people, even though they don't want to go and vaccinate, and if you in the public service now don't vaccinate, you can't come to work, and you can't tell me neither you're staying home to work, because if you stay home, you lost your work. That is what Rowley did to the public servants. I hope all you remember that, you know. And do not compromise all yourself and all your institution to keep these vipers in office. I hope so, you know. Because Kamala Prasad will never do that. Yeah, but he had no work. No, he fired them effectively. He called it, there's an American term called forlorning or forlorn, a word to that effect. But it means that the government had no money and all they had to go home. Because all they will be able to get paid.
That, you know.
Yeah.
And they start up with them and give me blasted money.
Yeah. So
they could have come after with this COVID thing.
Yeah.
And they say what people are coming your house when you're watching your TV.
Yeah.
And your wife and your children, daughters was going.
And they feel good. They feel good. Yeah, them boasting, them win case. Around that. And they proud. They're proud. Just as how Imbert is proud that the court say they have a right to institute the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. He's proud about that. An organization that clearly fitted with Rowley and their operatives, even though the court say it be more objective. They will not be objective, and therefore people will lose their homes and their houses and through what is called garnishing. And Imbert proud about that. You know, he is proud when, of course, the Privy Council say, listen, pay Junior Sammy $80 million. Or in the case of the local government, when they tell Rowley, or they infringe the constitution, or they try to make on themselves the electorate, have elections now, he ain't glad about that at all, because they want evil and pain and ache and agony to subsist and prevail in Trinidad and Tobago by their evil diabolical policies that is totally devilish in nature. All right, my friend.
Ever since Gary Griffith refused to do what they wanted him to do.
Oh yeah. Well, then of course that's why Gary Griffith is where he is now. All right.
Yeah.
Look at it. Which name of the picture? Which name of the picture again?
Gongadin.
What's that?
Gungadin. Gongadin.
Gongadin, right.
Yes, don't play the fool, you know. But watch that.
And the next one, you give my next one.
What was I tell you, boy? What are you? best, you know.
Yeah. You forget about that. Call me after the program.
13 Rue Madeline.
What is that?
13, 1 3.
Yeah.
Rue, R-U-E.
R-U-E,
Madeline. 13
Madeline?
Rue Madeline. M-A-D-E-L-I-N-E.
Okay. M-A-D-E.
91 with James Cagney.
All right, Madeline, right, okay. All right, my friend.
Madeline.
I'll take a look at them tonight. All right.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless and see you, tomorrow. Yes, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, people. So everything happens here, and of course, but it is 10:30. I promised to finish at 10. So I will not be able to, of course, expatiate a little more and to explain, but certainly I'm going to do that tomorrow. Let's hope we conclude that tomorrow night as to what is possible once people are committed, know what they have to do, and therefore we must be able collectively to, in our respective speciality and efforts and prayers, bring back Trinidad and Tobago, because we have to prepare from now. And I want to tell people in Laverton and so on, reject the PNM. 5 years is not an eternity. Let me repeat, 5 years is not an eternity. Over the years, they have made you believe that somehow don't trust anybody else, trust them alone, as they continue to pile on the pain, the ache, the agony, and of course the drudgery and the chicanery that of course has become idiosyncratic of the PNM. Please say to them, 5 years is not an eternity. And of course, the next 5 years, you'll have an opportunity to see what transpired the previous 5 years. And if things turn out to be better for you, by all means, keep the PNM out and relegate them to the dustbin of political history in this country. Let me just take this one. Yes, a pleasant good night, welcome. A pleasant good night, welcome. Yes? Yes? All right, it appears that there's a call that is not connected here, at least to what we are doing here now. All right then. So, people, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless us. No, tomorrow is Sunday, so no ground report, but certainly we'll be back here tomorrow night on the corridor transformation. See you then, and of course, we will continue to treat. Let us conclude with, of course, we didn't start with it, but there is a philosophical position. We can make it if we try. Yes, indeed, and by people who understand what is required and are committed.
If ever you feel to surrender.